All right, so noir, thriller, city, saxophones, it's awesome. But hey, we had to build this big city, and one of the first challenges, Mike, is of course figuring out how to build it and then light it, make the noir feel work.
Right, when you're looking at these lighting studies, you're looking at both the local color and then also what the atmosphere is doing here. So Justin commissioned these from Dorje to get a feel for if the sky happened to be of a certain mood and tone, what kind of opportunities does that create for us? What kind of encounters can we play? And so the entire core team had to sit down and look at these and say, like, well, is red a key color that will signify something to us? How does the superintendent talk to us? Like, we have to make sure we don't step over his toes and keep things clear. And so there was a lot of iteration there to make sure all these different elements of this supposedly little, small, simple game would mesh well together.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of, sort of cramped city environments, interiors and exteriors, and then also we had some really cool wide open spaces in the city too. Like this one. Why would there be water in a city?
Spoilers. That's right.
But moving on.
If it rains through 3 hours of music, it gets a lot of rain.
So this is awesome. This is how the shipping game looks.
Yes.
Like I said, black and white, film noir.
Had we shipped in fall of '08 like we were supposed to.
Yeah.
You just turn on the visor mode, right?
Exactly.
So Paul, this is the old mass out phase, right? What's mass out mean?
Yeah, so basically we build geometry as quickly as we can. We keep it low res so it's flexible for us to change frequently, right, Mike?
That's right. At that point, we're actually just going back and forth between art and design to see, are the proportions right? Can characters jump and do interesting things? But as a player, and then once we get that approved, we go to the next step.
Yep.
Here, Steve Chong has done a paint over of that mass out. And so
this only takes like 2 days to go from what you saw before that to in-game like this. It's awesome.
Yeah, after you go from vacation, you come back. Yeah, like it
Yeah.
could feel like 2 daes. But so now we're in the architecting phase, and what the same artist who had produced the mass out has done, and in this case it was Cameron Pinard, he has changed the proportions of the doors so that it's more believable. It was kind of misleading in the concept. It was way too big. It was like 30 feet tall. We simplified the floor space because we found out, well, the player can move around and do cool things, but characters, and there were lots of characters planned for these encounter spaces, could not navigate.
And you should apologize to Lars for that, by the way.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Lars, this is actually your mission, right?
This is my mission. It's actually cool to see the different stages because early on, like if we go back a second, and when you look at the first, that's exactly what it looked like. And we had to figure out kind of where we were going to place cover and everything. And I hand it to Cameron. I don't know if he's in the room right now, but he did awesome work because I basically took these gray boxes and placed them in all these different locations where we needed cover, made the places really fun to fight and move around in. And then basically the artists take this really crappy looking thing with a bunch of boxes and make it look cool. So like that.
Yeah, this is the final product with the visor mode turned on. So yeah, we're not going to tell you where this is in the game because we don't want to ruin anything for you.
It's late in the game.
It's a spoiler-free presentation, kind of,
Yes.
sort
I
of.
think I read on the internet that's the way to Chinatown.
Chinatown. Yeah. All right. But, the city wasn't just all, dark corridors and stuff. We really wanted to create a living, breathing place, and that meant, coming up with some things like signage, for example, to put on shops and stuff to really give you a slice of life, what the people did during the day in the city. You can't probably see it up on this screen, but there's some pretty funny stuff if you wander around the city and check out all the signs. It's especially important to battle test your battle rifle for home protection. That's very important.
Wait, so Joe, does that mean the battle rifle is in fact available on ODST?
Well, I'll let Paul handle that question.
And Paul fixed the spread, I think, on that.
Paul doesn't like you guys.
Yeah, Paul fixed the battle rifle spread in ODST by cutting it from the game.
But he gave you a pistol. What do you want?
The pistol's cool.
Yeah, so talk about the weapons a little bit, maybe, Paul and Lars. I mean, I know we talked about you've heard about them online, but what's the insider information?
Yeah, so I've never liked the battle rifle. There are my secrets out. We knew that going into this, we wanted to create a couple signature weapons for the ODST so that you felt different. We spent a lot of time up front really trying to outline what are the things where when you first get into the game, you're in first person. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? What's making you feel like an ODST? You've seen a lot of screenshots, a lot of gameplay footage of the HUD, which is a completely new HUD, which was Dave Canlin, which he did a phenomenal job working with him on that. And then obviously you're staring at your weapon the whole time, so we really wanted to create those two signature weapons. One, the sound suppressed pistol, sort of harkening back to Halo 1. I think you guys have heard that a lot, without the ability to take Banshees out, unfortunately. And then the sound suppressed SMG, so you got your nice headshot weapon that's not going to do a lot of damage versus shields, also not going to do a lot of damage versus bodies, and then you got your nice spread weapon that's going to mow through enemies pretty quickly. So the art for those was actually done during Halo 2 by Tom Doyle, and he just sort of brought it in one day, and we had been talking a lot about what are we going to do for new weapons, and Tom sort of was sitting next to me at the time, and he's like, hey, I did this stuff for Halo 2, and we never used it, and he brought it in. As soon as we saw it, we're like, yeah, we're going to use that. And he spent a lot of time on his own, sort of polishing those assets up and making them look real good.
Yeah, and actually, there was a bunch of stuff that we looked at again from Halo 3 when we thought about populating this city. You guys should pick your favorite, because we picked one. Who likes the yellow one? Raise your hands. Oh, who likes the other one? You guys are going to be excited.
Luckily, police pelicans don't crash as much as marine pelicans.
But they still crash.
Mike, so we're just going to roll through some objects in the city. Maybe if you want to just talk a little bit about what the process was designing this cool stuff. Because we didn't just repaint the Pelican, right?
No. Of course, we wanted to tailor the vehicles to the story that we had unfolding and in the environment that they were going to exist in. So here you see a bunch of studies, I believe by Isaac Hannaford, to show what the optics might be on the police Pelican. Of course, they don't have turrets or radar jamming equipment. They have surveillance equipment for WTO riots and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's some studies there.
Yeah, the superintendent doesn't shoot people. He just takes pictures of them. He's friendly.
Yeah, very friendly.
He also collects garbage.
When I first saw this concept that Chris Barrett had commissioned, I was so excited that I actually pinned all my hopes and dreams for the project on this object.
Hey man, we recorded dialogue
We
for this.
tried very hard.
You ever gonna let this die?
And when I sent out what I thought was a funny email about the fact that my design for this vehicle didn't make it into the game, everybody thought I was quitting. But I wasn't. I was just trying to be funny. So this is this is the Oliphant, which is related to the elephant from Halo 3, but recommissioned to collect garbage by I think by Traxxas Corporation or whatever its fine maker is.
You can tell by its industrial design that garbage is very dangerous in the city of Mombasa. Needs a lot of vigorous collecting. And of course, we've mentioned the superintendent before. These are just some sketches of some of his little cameras, right, Mike?
Right. So I think it was very early in the process that it was suggested. I think Justin may have even had some of these ideas about it would be cool to have an augment to your character similar to Cortana, but it would be like security cameras in the city, and then you just ran with it and you created the superintendent out of that initial idea. And so it was a lot of fun to think about all the ways. I mean, we started out with like a strip mall store style camera, right? That had a little cable attached to it, and you just and then that would be your superintendent, and he'd talk to you, and to more sophisticated objects like this. And it was playing basically on the idea of that we had started in Halo 3, where the AI had become corrupted or compromised, and you weren't sure what the state of it was.
Don't spoil anything.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Superintendent's just fine. Don't worry. But we also made some. You guys can talk maybe a little bit about the clue objects, Paul. Without spoiling too much, we talked a lot about making objects that were unique and interesting to find in the city.
Yeah, I think going back to the detective story, once we realized that's where we were heading and really pushed in that direction, solving the mystery requires finding some clues. And there's a bunch of different clue objects in the city spread around, and each of those we put a lot of effort into tying into the story of the rest of your squad, so that when you find these clue objects, you flash back into the boots of your fellow squad mates earlier on in the day and kind of figure out what happened to those guys. And all that's tied with these objects, which all of them are super cool and turn out pretty neat.